Bootcamp. I see there's a bunch of you coming in, so I'll give you all a few minutes to get set up and get acquainted with Zoom again. I'm Anthea Major, Head of Growth at Bizink, and today's event is based on Bizink's Leads to Loyalty framework, which is our proven framework for marketing your accounting practice. And the sessions today cover the 5 stages of the marketing journey for your accounting firm: plan, attract, engage, convert, and retain. And we've brought in some awesome accounting industry titans to share their knowledge and go through their tips for each of these sections today. So we're going to kick things off today with the first stage, which is plan. And if my mouse is going to work, we'll get to it. Unfortunately, Alan Dibb of Successwise couldn't make it today, so we've gone and nabbed his CEO, Claire Marshall. So if you can say hello, Claire.
Hello, good to be here.
Awesome, thanks for coming. I'll let Claire tell you a bit more about Successwise, but they are the experts on training firms to execute effective marketing plans. So they'll be sharing lots of tips today. Claire will be running you through an MBA in marketing in an hour or just under. So, and Matt will be hosting the session, asking some questions and vice versa. So Matt is the CEO and founder of Bizink and one of a few brains behind this whole summit as well. So let's get into the agenda. I know that most accounting firms don't have a marketing plan. So today's session, Claire is going to show you how to create a plan that's really simple, quick, literally a 1-page document. Also talk through how to get new clients and how to close sales. So there's a lot to cover today. I'm really excited to hear what you're going to share. Just a little bit of housekeeping. This session is being recorded, so you will be sent that in case you miss anything, or if you're attending all the sessions today, there's going to be a lot to cover, so feel free to go back over that. We're going to do Q&A as we go, so please send through any questions into the chat panel as you think of them, and we'll ask them as they come up if they're relevant or at the end. So feel free to open that Q&A panel, open the chat panel, send us a hello message and just get familiar with that so you can send that through. Also keep that chat open for any useful links as we go as well. Diane from our team is going to be sharing any resources that we mention. We'll paste in there as we go. Obviously those will be emailed out to you as well. And the first useful link is coming up now. We know it's hard to know what to do when it comes to marketing, so we've created a really quick marketing performance audit so you can see which areas of marketing you might need help with. And then after that assessment, we actually provide you with lots more useful practical resources tailored to those areas where you might need help. So we've put the link to the scorecard into the chat, so please go get a quick assessment of where you're at. It's based on this same framework we're talking through today, so it should all line up. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Claire now. I'll let you share your screen and we'll get into the session today. Thanks everyone, and feel free to send us a chat message while you wait. And like I said, any questions that come up, send them through. Over to you, Claire.
Awesome, thanks Anthea. It is so nice to be here and to meet all of you who work with Bizink. I'm the CEO of Successwise, that we do marketing consulting. We help small business owners create and execute marketing plans, as Anthea mentioned, that is literally on 1 page. And the main purpose of what I'll be talking about for the next 40 minutes is why it's important to have a marketing plan. And I'll go through the different sections of what you want to think about sequentially in your marketing plan and how to create one. And I've got Matt here, who's going to answer on behalf of all of you. He knows a lot more about an accounting business than I do. So I'll be trying to use examples that are relevant to you all. So thanks, Matt. And so with that, I want this to feel more like a workshop. I know all of us are on Zoom a lot. And so I want this to feel interactive. As Anthea mentioned, please enter questions and we'll have at least 10 minutes at the end to discuss, to go through questions. So first, Matt, what I want to ask you on behalf of everybody here is, how do you think most accountants think about marketing?
Well, hi everyone, and thanks for coming along today. I think that a lot don't want to think about it. I think that would be the first thing. And I hope everyone here today is kind of, like obviously wanting to develop the marketing skills. I mean, I'd put it this way, I've had this conversation many times. I was talking to a firm owner in San Francisco yesterday, and I often use the analogy that I don't want to do my books, I don't want to do my accounts, and that's why I hire an accountant and a bookkeeper. But I do want to be able to read financial statements. I need to know what a profit and loss looks like, a balance sheet. Don't necessarily need to put them together. So I think that I think a lot of firms want to know how marketing works because they're not taught that. That's not part of your accounting degree. And so I think they want to know. They don't necessarily want to do the doing, but doing that is important. So I often talk about marketing mindset, and that's what I think. I obviously can't speak on behalf of all accountants, but that I speak to hundreds, thousands of accountants every year about marketing, and I'd say that's the thing that they probably want, and that's the thing that I'd recommend, is to have that marketing mindset. And then if you've got that sorted with things like the one-page marketing plan, if you understand your strategy, your target market, the messaging to go to them, then outsourcing your marketing becomes a hell of a lot easier and more effective.
I love that answer. So I'm just about to jump into mindset, in fact. So as Alan says, the truth will set you free, but at first it will piss you off. So, a lot of people, we really want, the truth is the best marketer wins every time. So this is a big theme in the book. The book is the one-page marketing plan. And we all wish that the person who won was the person who's doing the best accountant, or that nurses or firefighters were the highest paid professions, but they aren't.
And I jump in there, Claire? Sorry to interrupt, but I think it's really, really relevant in terms of accounting, because I'm trying to think of a counter example, but sometimes a really great product will win because it can do something that no other product can. So it doesn't have to be marketed as hard because it's got something unique about it. The difference with accounting services is they all sound the same until people start to consume them, right? So everyone's got great customer service on their website, everyone's really professional and friendly and all of that, but it's really hard to prove that stuff. So I think it is really relevant that, how you market and promote your firm is going to stand out, because that service level part of it, no one can expect, you can't do a free trial of accounting. You can't do a try before you buy. You'll only get that after the sale. So I think it's really, really relevant. And I remember a guy, an accountant I talked to, he was really annoyed that a firm, he's saying like they do really awesome marketing, but their work is really bad. And I do, really awesome work, but, I don't do any marketing. And I'm like, well, that's how it goes, like, I don't think, and actually a lot of business owners couldn't say that's a better chart of accounts than that, or, so I think the marketing is really important in that aspect.
For sure, for accountants specifically. So this is basically what you just said. And this is a mindset shift, if you take nothing else away from us talking, that no one knows how good your accounting firm is until after the sale. So before that, they only know how good your marketing is. And so there are probably some biases that are blocking you from marketing, like marketing is expensive, my industry is too competitive, we just need to get our name out there, or it won't work in my business. Like, do you think that there are any of these, we've kind of been talking around this, but are specifically blocks for accountants? I know you mentioned maybe they don't want to do the execution, or what's typical?
To an extent, all of them. And I think one of them that winds me up personally is marketing doesn't work, because it's a super kind of arrogant statement, right? It's like, the analogy I often use with that is, it's like me saying, I played the piano, it sounded horrible, so music doesn't work. Actually it's because you're no good at the thing. And so I think that's one that I often hear. I think the scammy thing, it's not necessarily the wording I hear, but people say things like, I don't want to be out there spamming people. I don't want to be doing too much of that kind of thing. Competitive, not so much. expensive sometimes. And yeah, they're just getting our name out there. That's one that we definitely hear. But yeah, the marketing doesn't work. I think that is definitely one that we hear.
Okay. Well, yeah. So one thing that Alan says a lot is that entrepreneurs, or in this case, accountants, have been hypnotized to fail. So as you mentioned before, if you think about how long you studied to become an accountant, how many classes did you get on how to get and retain a customer? Generally none. And this is the case for lots of professions: doctors, dentists, real estate agents. And the education system is designed to produce compliant employees, and you aren't taught marketing skills. So this is a quote that Alan used, that I don't know who it's from, but to live through an impossible situation, you don't need to have the reflexes of a Grand Prix driver, the muscles of Hercules, the mind of Einstein. You simply need to know what to do. So I know that a lot of business owners feel lost. They're like, okay, cool. You're telling me that I need to do marketing, that it's not scammy, that it will help my business, that it does work, but exactly what do I do? And so as Matt and I have talked before about the mindset of an accountant, and wanting to have marketing done for you, but I'm here to tell you that strategy must stay with the business owner. So that's kind of a big mindset shift as well. The execution can go somewhere else, but it's really important that all of you on the call as business owners have a sense of some of the elements that I'm about to go through before you pass it off in order for it to be successful. So without further ado, I'll run in. Oh, and actually, Matt, I wanted to ask you, didn't you guys do some research on the number of accounting firms percentage-wise that have marketing plans?
Yeah, done it lots of times.
Yeah.
Lots of times, yeah. 2/3 don't have a plan. 2/3 don't have a marketing plan. And just to add to what you're saying, as somebody who owns a marketing business, specializing in accountants and bookkeepers, it's always really challenging to us. We get a phone visit. We just want to outsource all of our marketing. And you're like, well, we can do the execution, but we can't tell you like who to sell to, what you're selling. There's those pieces that have to stay within a firm, and are a huge part of the DNA of what that firm is. And yeah, you can't outsource that stuff. Yeah.
So, I mean, these businesses are your babies, so you're going to know much better. I'll show you the topics that we're talking about, but yeah, these are not things that other people can come up with for you. So I'll run through this. And I just want to talk about the wrong type of plan too. So the wrong type of plan is something that's big and long, that's shoved in a drawer, that's not consulted, not updated or optimized or used. We really want to look at, when we're thinking about a plan, there's just really three things. And of course, it's more complicated, but the main three things are how to attract customers, how to convert customers, and how to retain customers. So that's what we're doing in marketing. And the first section, and again, this is all in the one-page marketing plan, which you can get on Amazon for $2.99 to learn a little bit more. But when we're looking at attracting prospects, a lot of times I speak to business owners every day who are just trying to dive into tactics. So they'll say, I want to start Facebook ads, or I'm going to do some rebranding, or yeah, there's lots of various tactics that people want to start with. But if you don't know who your target market is, it's very difficult to think about, who you're targeting in Facebook ads, for example, or what kind of branding or messaging is going to resonate with your target market. So the sequence in which I'm telling you about these things is super important. So first, we want to look at target market and do, and I'll go into this a little bit more in a few minutes, but we want to look at, if you're just thinking, I target market small businesses in Sydney, that doesn't tell us much at all about the pain points, about who specifically we're targeting. So I'll show you some examples. But then we go into messaging. So this is about crafting messaging that goes on the top fold of your website, in emails, and from your sales team or whoever's doing sales in your firm. What's the message that's differentiating you and that is that corresponds to basically the pain that the target market has. And then third is, what's the media that you're using to reach your target market? So when we say media, we mean things like email, LinkedIn, YouTube. There's various media. So we'll go through that too. The next section of the one-page marketing plan is converting leads. So making sure, something that's big at Successwise is making sure that you've got a lead capture system set up. So when people come to your website, how are you able to get contact information so that you can stay in touch with people until they're ready to buy? So an important note here is that most people, that an average prospect in general that's coming to your website, only about 3% are ready to buy right now. So there's a massive opportunity for people that are coming to your website to make sure that you get their contact information and set up a lead nurturing system. And what I mean by that is there's various forms of this, but you want to stay in contact with your prospects until they're actually ready to make the decision to switch to your firm or to take up accounting services. And then finally, the actual sales conversion strategy. So what does a call look like between you or your salesperson and your clients? And then the final section of the one-page marketing plan is retaining customers. So this is where we want to get them to trust you, to buy from you regularly, and refer you. So we're looking at delivering a world-class experience so that people trust you, you build fans, that you can increase customer lifetime value so that people are buying more from you, and then that there's not just hoping for word of mouth, which I would say on most calls I have with business owners, in varying levels of success in different industries, so many people are just waiting on word of mouth referrals. And obviously those come and go. You can't count on consistent leads for your business. You'll see your revenue go up and down. So the last section here is about orchestrating referrals, so referral strategy. And all of these sections make up the one-page marketing plan. So I'll give a canvas of this. This is what the canvas looks like in Google Docs to Matt to send out. And so Matt, is there anything you want to say? I'm going to dive into target market, but just about having a plan or.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think this is the best system for getting a marketing plan together. You know, we've been working together for a couple of years, and I think that, you know, every firm will benefit from doing this. And I think that a lot of firms do quite well in the after stage with customers. They have good retention, either through a world-class experience or accounting is quite sticky, right? Like it's people, when they switch, it's hard for them to move. It's kind of like, you know, banks, electricity providers, you know, if you get them, you've got them usually for a little while. And so I think that usually the place where people need to do a lot more work is at that start, is that target market and getting that message sorted. So I think they're the key parts to focus on.
And I thought it would be useful to show you guys what we're talking about. So Matt, I don't know, I have our one-page marketing plan for our business. So I just want to show you what this looks like in practice quickly, and then we can dig a little bit further into target market. But at Successwise, we could just say we help companies create marketing plans, and we help just businesses, you know, that would be something that we could say. But when we really take a look at our target market to really think about a marketing plan that's going to work, we're looking at, and this is the demographics, psychographics, values, decision-making process, personality type, goals, etc. And so I can send through both of these. This goes through exactly what to fill in each square specifically, like the what, and then this is our internal example. But yeah, so I'll refer back to this, but you can see that we work with small to medium business owners who already have an offer that works. We identify how much they're already making. There's a psychographic element. So they're frustrated with the number of marketing tactics out there. We don't choose that they're male, but they happen to skew male. This is the approximate age. they want to level up. So you can think about, and I'll go through target market in just a minute, and then we want to look at the messaging. So what sorts of messages can we, when we're, again, writing emails, the top fold of our website, that help people understand what we do and how it's differentiated from our competitors. So the 3 words that Alan likes to use are clarity, structure, and simplicity. And going from random acts of marketing to a marketing system. Income comes from assets. And when we say that, we mean marketing assets like lead capture, systems, et cetera. And then build your business and marketing system so that it's someday you can have a better exit. So these are just some examples, but these are the types of messages that set us apart to explain what we do. And then the media that we use, Alan wrote a best-selling marketing book, which you guys should check out. We use Amazon ads to promote it. There it is. Oh, I got my copy in another room. We use Amazon ads. I'm just showing what some examples look like here. We have a blog. Alan does podcast appearances. We do Facebook group giveaways of the book. We do speaking like I'm doing right now. And then we do a lot on social, mostly LinkedIn. And then our lead capture system, as I said before, it's really important that you've got some way to capture leads on your website. As you can see on our website, we've got download the canvas for free. So this puts a lot of people on our email list every month. But this is super straightforward, clean, simple, and you'll notice like some of the words that we use in our messaging, clarity, like we have a very clean and clear visual brand as well. So we can go back through that. Oops. Yeah, and then we go through the lead capture system. So making sure that you've got something on the top fold of your website that allows you to get contact information from your prospects. And then these are all the tools that we use to capture the information and to put it into a marketing CRM.
Because I think, just to interrupt, where you said that probably about 3% of people are ready to buy when they visit your website, which is probably like a generic B2B type number. I'd say with accounting firms, that number might be like 1% or less.
Okay.
You know, I often use the example of Amazon.com. Their conversion rate is maybe 12-15%, depending on what you read. And that's the most successful e-commerce business that's ever been, which also means 85% of people don't buy when they visit the site. So it's much lower for something like accounting services, where there's a lot in the way of someone becoming a customer. It's not just like, you know, click, buy. So I think that makes this stuff way more important, right? Because if, you know, the amount of leads isn't going to be huge, that means you got to make the most of the ones that do come through.
Exactly. And so that's the next point, is that once we've got a website that can convert from the top fold, meaning that we're getting somebody's contact information. When I say convert, I mean convert to an email subscriber. We want to make sure that we can stay in touch with them with high value content. And I know, Matt, this is something that Bizink helps with, but we want to make sure that you are staying in touch with the customers until they're ready to buy. In our consulting business, sometimes, I mean, I'll speak to people who have been on our list for 2 years, and we've got dripped content that goes out. And, you know, finally, after 2 years, somebody's ready to say, okay, actually, I'm at a size in my business. I need help hiring a marketing person, XYZ. I really need your help with strategy. And they're ready to become a client. So that's just a note. There are also other ways to nurture leads, such as a blog or a YouTube channel, or just ways to stay in touch with your prospects. And then in terms of
what I often talk about there is, you know, I'm going to talk about this later in my session on email marketing, is that it's an unfortunate fact that people only buy when they're ready and not when we want them to. And so that timing aspect is incredibly important, because often the reason that someone will switch accountants is not necessarily that you've done great marketing, that you've put an offer in front of them. Something's changed in their business or their relationship with their existing firm, or they were DIY and then they don't want to do that anymore. So something's changed. And I think that's where the lead nurturing system of who are they going to contact as the person who's top of mind, and that's going to be the person who's engaging them with content, whichever media you choose to do that through.
For sure. And so, yeah, it sounds like this is something that you can speak to more about, Matt, in future sessions, but email marketing is super important in staying in touch with leads until they're ready to buy, like we've said. And then in terms of sales, we're talking about the sales tools, like we have sales CRM Pipedrive. We try to make it really easy to do business with us, like setting up Calendly calls versus having someone on your team that sets calls or sending somebody a bunch of different appointment slots. We have a really specific way that we go about discovery calls with new clients. So these are all things that you would want to think about in your own business. You know, sometimes sending a handwritten note, something that's out of the box for people can go a long way. And then in terms of how we deliver a world-class experience, so Alan uses the example of McDonald's. Like, no matter where you go in the world, you're going to get the same Big Mac anywhere in the world. So they have very clear systems for delivering the same world-class experience, regardless of which McDonald's you're going to. In our case, we want to make sure that all of our clients feel super valued. They're getting tons of value from our marketing consulting. And the way that we do that is we've got everything super systemized internally with our project management tool, Asana. We've got systems for everything from operations to marketing. Another big part of delivering a world-class experience is thought leadership. So that's something to consider maybe for another session to talk about, Matt. But how can you, as the accounting firm owner, be somebody who is educational to clients? You know, when you think about a social media strategy, how are you educating people about the things they want to know about accounting or for your particular target market?
I think it's really crucial, right? Because I've been doing a lot of thinking about this at the moment with our own business is, you know, say something like accounting, the engagement might be once a year, you know, and a lot of firms are trying to move beyond that with monthly billing and added value services. But say it is just that once a year engagement. What do you do for the other 11 years a month where you can't necessarily demonstrate value? If you can do thought leadership, whether that's an awesome blog, a newsletter, I'll talk about that in my session later, could be webinars, lots of ways to do it. You're demonstrating value throughout the year. So I think that stuff is really, really important in a situation where, yeah, it might only be a once a year engagement. And if that's like, you know, annual accounts and tax return, not something a lot of business owners get that excited about. But you can get them excited about being part of your firm with all this other stuff.
Yeah, and that will go back to target market when we think about, you know, specifically who are you targeting and what kind of content would be relevant, or what kinds of questions does a construction company in Australia have about accounting, and how can you set up ways to educate construction company owners about what sort of pain points they have related to accounting. It's just where I'm thinking about that. And then the eighth square is how to increase customer lifetime value. So there's a lot of ways that we, like we have an Ascension campaign, which is, you know, you'd read the book and you'd be like, wow, these guys know what they're talking about, and then consider having us coach your business. Can you think, Matt, about Ascension or increasing customer lifetime value for an accounting firm? What do you think that looks like?
Most times when I speak, I ask firms, well, maybe people can answer in the chat, but like, let me know in the chat if you think all of your clients know about all the services you offer. If you think that all your clients know about all the services you offer, just type yes or no into the chat, because that's something that I ask often, and it's very rare that people say yes. So I think that that's a huge opportunity. It's probably I'd say it's definitely the fastest opportunity for most firms, right? You don't have to create a marketing plan to do this. You don't have to come up with any strategy. You just need to email. You just need to email your clients and say, you know, here's some other stuff we can do. So, yeah, I think that increasing that lifetime value is it's a massive opportunity, right? Because what I'd often say was, well, I guess two things here. A lot of clients say to us, yeah, we don't want to spam our clients or whatever. But what I would say is, if you genuinely think you can help business owners, then why aren't you getting in touch with them, right? Because the more things you can do for them, they will happily pay for that stuff. And like, the most regretted departure from your firm when somebody leaves is, they're like, hey, we're moving here because these guys do this. And you're like, hey, we do that as well. So for that reason alone, you've got to be helping people. It's not selling, it's helping people. And as a business,
that's a good mindset shift.
You really want to pay for that help. So I think that, yeah, stickier clients, Julian saying that, like that, higher average revenue per user, the stickier clients become. That's so true, right? If you just do the annual tax return, it's so easy to move to another firm. If you're also helping that firm, cash flow planning, monthly accounts, could be a bunch of other stuff you're doing. Much stickier, much more value you can deliver, and harder for them to move on.
And it is so much easier to do more business with a current customer than it is to get another customer.
Yeah.
So I think that's super important. And then the final piece here is just making sure that you arm your referral network. So rather than just hoping that, hey, we're doing a really good job, I provide amazing services here, how are you arming your referral network to, I don't know if it's a free consultation, or Matt, can you think of some examples of what an accounting firm owner might give to a client of theirs that they could pass on to another business owner that would be something that would bring them back?
We've got a template for it. So I'm just wondering if Diana or Anthony, we could paste that from our playbook into the chat. We've got a template for asking for referrals, because 85% of firms tell us that, 85% of firms' leads come from referrals. So when we survey clients, the vast majority of their leads are coming from word of mouth, but only 20% of firms do anything to stimulate more referrals. So I think they can come from two places. One is existing clients, and use this template that we've just posted into the chat, customize that to work best for you. It works really well if it's niched down. So like, box one, the target markets is like, we like working with tradies or construction businesses. We'd like to work with more of them. Here's the things we can do. Do you know anyone like that? And of course they do, So that's number one. The other bit would be that referral network of other professionals. It could be bankers, it could be insurance brokers, lawyers, or whatever. So you've got that network of partner referrals as well. I think both of those are, everyone knows that they're a great source of business, but a lot of people don't stimulate them.
For sure. And I just want to note, as the systems person here at Successwise, that it's really important to take the content that Anthea just put in the chat and think about, how can I do this on a systematic basis? So at what point in the customer journey am I making sure that either me or whoever's dealing with a customer at a certain stage is asking for the referral in every single case? Not just thinking about it and I'll do that, but making sure that it's part of your process.
What do you think, Claire, of MPS? Because we use MPS to both, I guess, measure customer happiness, but also that can be, a good way to start a conversation like that, and it's systematized.
MPS, or I'm not.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know what MPS is.
Net promoter score. So I'm just talking jargon here. So
that's okay. Yeah. Wait, sorry. No, I don't know what net promoter.
That's all good. No, that's all good.
Yeah. Okay.
Probably it's like where you get the survey of 0 to 10, and then system around that. So you're looking at promoters, neutral, and detractors. So we find that a really useful system. It's you can use it under a free license. If anyone wants to check it out, net promoter score, just Google it, and it's quite easy to set up. Yeah. Okay. No, that's all good.
But you were talking about at what point in your work with clients would you ask them to to give out
just
referrals?
a really good system, like where we have it built into our CRM, into HubSpot, and it can just do that after every engagement. So, it can be after a support ticket, it can be after a piece of work we've done, it can be after our production process. When Julian puts in the chat, you need quite a bit of volume of customers. I think that's true, to get the data in terms of the actual number that comes out. But why I like it is if someone gives you a neutral or detractor rating, it's an opportunity to what's called close the loop. And I think that was come up with by Intuit, obviously in the accounting industry. Gives you a chance to instantly contact those people. So, whether they give you a 4 or a 5 or a 6, doesn't really matter. They're not that warm on what you're doing. You can get in touch with them. You can talk to them and turn them into a promoter. And I think that's the bit that can be really good, even if you don't have a lot of volume coming through.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And then Matt, I think we wanted to just go a little bit into target market for the next few minutes. But I think one of the main things that we see with business owners is that they think, I'm going to cast the net wider. That will bring in more leads. And so your target market is not everyone. So this is another mindset shift that it feels intuitive to say that everyone would again bring in more leads, but the more specific you are about who you're serving as an accounting firm, like specifically what types of businesses do you want to work with? Who's your ideal customer? Who can pay you the most versus, businesses that struggle to pay you, that are not going to buy more of your services? And what can we say about these people? So it's not everyone. So that's a really important piece. And another thing is that you don't have enough firepower typically as a small business owner to try to win the mass marketing game. So when we talk about firepower, we're talking about the budget, the time. So massive companies like Coca-Cola, Apple have the ability to mass market to everyone, but we don't. We need to be very specific about who you're targeting so that all of the messaging, the strategies, et cetera, are going out to a limited number of people who are the type of people that you want to buy your service. And
just going to pause. There's a couple of interesting questions in the chat, a bit of conversation about should you reward referrals or should you incentivize them rather? So I think my take on it would be, I don't think you need to incentivize it up front. I don't think it needs to be kind of like if you do this, we'll give you this, but as David says, reward it if people do that. And I think that's, a nice way to do it. I honestly think that, if I think of myself, I would only refer somebody if I wanted to do it. I'm not going to do it because someone gives me, a gift voucher or something like that. You're not going to a coffee or a beer or whatever it is. But it's a nice gesture if someone wants to say thank you to me. That's happened. I referred a big client to a company in the States, and then, a bottle of whiskey turned up. Quite a nice thing to do, So didn't expect it, but it did make me feel good afterwards.
I agree. I think that the more kind of human to human approach there, and you're right, Matt, that people only refer you it's important to stimulate and ask for the referral. That's the part that's the mindset shift here. But in terms of paying people, there are different structures. But I think for an accounting firm, I agree that the most human to human way would be to give someone a thank you afterwards.
Yeah.
Were there any other questions you want to go through?
No, that was cool. I think just that first point about the target market. We always talk about if you're marketing to everybody, you're marketing to nobody. And looking at your canvas where it says SMEs, that's often where the targeting stops for a lot of accounting firms. And I'm like, SMEs make up about 90% of the economy. So it's and I know yours goes into way more detail. But I think that, the only other point to add to that, which is kind of very industry specific stuff, is that probably everyone here listening is sick to death of people talking about niching to them, because it's been this kind of, there's a few topics, like hot topics, that have been talked about a lot in the profession over the last decade. What I think we're talking about here, you don't necessarily need to niche your marketing, just that's your ideal client at Successwise. It's not like you wouldn't work with somebody outside of that. What we would talk about with firms is niche your marketing. So like go after whether it's tradies or doctors or whatever, that's what you focus your marketing on. If someone refers, you work with doctors and someone refers a dentist to you, it's not like you have to say no to that. It's just that you're not focusing on them.
I think that's a good point. And so to add on to that, so if you think about ways to niche, you want to think about the location. So these are things that, like you said, Matt, may or may not apply to what you're doing. But I would imagine with a lot of accounting firms, location is important. The demographics, so what type of people these are. Values. I don't know how, Matt, if you think that values would be super important in accounting. I mean,
it depends, right? Like it definitely could. I see some firms like like they're not for profits, they go for that, so that could come in a lot, but other ones wouldn't care. That's good. That one bit.
That's important. And one of the more important ones, Matt, like you just mentioned, would be the industry. So, again, I'm using construction because I just spoke to somebody in construction, but if you're going to help construction firms with their accounting, when you put out the messaging that that's what you do, you're going to have a lot more people raise their hand and say, hey, that's for me, instead of some vague messaging that's like, we do accounting for everyone. There's going to be a much better, you'll get more response from a more niched market. And Matt, like you said, the industries for accounting firms span, right? Like you guys I was just thinking about examples of industries that accounting firms work with. It's across the board. Yeah.
Lots and lots. And like the example I'd give with construction or like tradies, as it gets called in this part of the world. I got a friend who had an accounting firm, did a lot of work with tradies, and he won a marketing innovation award. And I was asking him, like, what was your innovation? He's just laughing. He didn't really have one. And what they did for trade businesses was they put on events where they gave away free beer and free meat pies, filled out the room. So know your market, right?
Know your market. That's a good point. And then finally, desire. So what does this person desire? What problems do they have specifically? And if there are any trends within the industry. And then this is a final note about target market. So for all of you thinking about, well, I work with a lot of doctors' offices, but I've also got some stores or retail stores, or like if you're thinking it's across the board, this is like an interesting thing to think about, the PVP index. So if you were to give a number from 1 to 10, like of the different types of target markets that you have, and you're trying to think about where you want to focus, the first thing to consider is personal fulfillment. So who do you enjoy working with the most? Like at Successwise, we could work with corporates. So Alan used to consult corporates, or we could work with startups. But we found that our sweet spot in terms of who we like to work with, who makes us the happiest, is a small to medium business size, like 1 to 20 million. Secondly, because we don't like doing the bureaucratic thing with corporates and startups, that's a whole nother level. And then thinking about the value to the marketplace. So if you're thinking about the different industries that you serve as an accountant, which of those industries values your service the most? So you would put a number 1 to 10 there. And then finally, profitability. So if you're looking across your P&L, which you guys obviously have very, very set, which of the current sectors that you're working with is the most profitable, and giving that a number 1 to 10. So then you're looking at the score for each segment and thinking about where you want to focus for your target market. So that's just kind of a high level way to think about where you're going to focus, basically. And there's lots of kind of templates for figuring things out that are simpler in the book. But I think, Matt, given that we've just got a few minutes left, I'll stop there.
Yeah.
And I can take some more questions, and I'll also I'll put my email address in here if anybody has questions about the book or about marketing strategy or marketing plans in general in the future. But with that, are there?
As some questions just come in, I think the that value, what the marketplace values, I think is a really important point, because one of the slight pitfalls that I see firms falling into is what I do is almost like the it makes sense on paper thing, right? So you go like, for example, construction businesses, they need loads of help with marketing, with accounting, they're terrible with bookkeeping, therefore that's a really good market. I'm not saying it's not, but not necessarily, because I've got a few friends who are tradespeople and they don't value that stuff either, you know? So it could be somebody who needs perhaps less help, but values that help a lot more. So I think that can be a pitfall to go, 2 + 2 equals this, but it might not actually equal 4. It might equal something completely different, because it's not, people are weird, right? Like, people don't act out. That's why, economists always get it wrong, is because people behave in weird ways that aren't rational. So I think that's something to really focus on, that like who values what you do rather than who has the biggest need, because it's not always the same thing.
That's a really good point. Yeah. And when I think about that, I'm just thinking about examples from our business. We can really help where people are not very technologically advanced. They're like, I don't know how to set up a marketing CRM, or I don't have any like communication tools within my team, or I wouldn't know how to go about hiring because that's not a skill that I have. So those are people that really, people who are technologically challenged are people that really need our services, I would say. But just in terms of value. Any other last points or questions that have come in?
I think that's all that I can see. So I just want to say a huge thank you to both of you for such an awesome session. I was sitting here making notes myself. So please reach out to Claire at the email in the chat, claire@successwise.com, if you've got any questions. Otherwise, we'll send out the resources. You mentioned, Claire, the canvas and the example. It was awesome to see, behind the scenes what you guys actually do. I'm just going to launch a quick poll here. Just if you would like someone from Successwise to get in touch with you directly, you can let us know that way, and we'll send that across to Claire and we can set that up, and the same for Bizink. So I'll give that a couple of minutes to run. But thank you everyone for joining the first session of today's Leads to Loyalty Bootcamp. And thanks to Claire for coming along. We'll see you all in our next session, which is on attracting new clients and building a personal brand through social media with Trent McLaren and Rachel Fish.